Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we try to cut through the noise, pull out those key bits of understanding that really help you get informed quickly. Your time's important, so we aim for those moments that make complex stuff just click. Today we're diving into something that, well, even the name itself sets a certain tone. We're looking at what our source material calls the disappearance of Frederick Valentich. And here's the interesting part. It happened way back in 1978, and our source specifically labels it a 1978 enigma.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating right off the bat is that title. The source we have is excerpts from the Valentich Disappearance, a 1978 enigma. It's not just stating a disappearance happened.
No.
It's presenting a question. That word enigma, it's powerful, isn't it?
It really is.
It tells us straight away this isn't just, an old unsolved case file gathering dust somewhere. It suggests something deeply mysterious, something that's really resisted easy explanation.
Maybe even baffled people for decades.
Exactly. Defied conventional logic, perhaps.
Yep.
It's setting it up as more than a puzzle. It's framing it as a profound sort of enduring unknown.
Right. So, okay, our mission here today, it isn't really to solve the Valentich disappearance. I mean, our source presents it only as this enigma. But what we do want to unpack is what that label means. What does it signify when something from 1978 is still called an enigma today, according to this source?
Yeah.
We want to explore the implications of that label for you, the learner. How does calling it a 1978 enigma immediately, shape how you approach it? What does it make you wonder about this event, even before digging into the specifics?
It primes you in a way.
Okay, so let's unpack this idea of a 1978 enigma. The source title gives us like three key things. Frederick Valentich, the year 1978, and that really loaded word, enigma.
Yep.
It doesn't immediately tell us where he vanished or what he was doing or the circumstances. It seems to zero right in on the status of the event itself.
Right. As fundamentally unresolved. And that raises a really important question, I think.
Which?
Well, when something from 1978 is still being actively labeled an enigma now, what does that actually signify? It's not just saying it's old.
No, it feels like more than that.
It means the core questions, the real uncertainties, they've stuck around. For, over 4 decades now?
Wow, yeah.
An enigma suggests that crucial pieces of the puzzle are just missing, maybe gone for good. Think about what usually elevates a disappearance to enigma status, rather than just, say, a missing person case.
Okay.
It often involves vanishing without a trace, right? No wreckage found, no body recovered, no definitive clues pointing one way or another. It suggests a real lack of evidence where you normally expect to find something.
So it's not just unsolved in the sense that we don't have the final answer, but maybe that there's a profound lack of clues, or maybe even a lack of the expected kind of evidence you'd find after, say, a plane incident.
Precisely. It pushes your thinking beyond, perhaps, simple pilot error or a straightforward mechanical failure or accident, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It hints at something unusual.
Exactly. And if we look at the bigger picture, that term enigma, used for a disappearance back in '78, it often points towards really unusual circumstances surrounding the event itself.
Like what, potentially?
Well, for instance, maybe the last communications were strange, cryptic, maybe contradictory, or perhaps there were sightings that couldn't be explained, or just a sudden, completely unforeseen break in contact. The word enigma implies that the usual ways of investigating, they've been tried, and they've come up empty. Not for lack of trying, but because the nature of the event itself seems to resist a conventional explanation.
Got it. So when our source flags it as a 1978 enigma, it's basically signposting straight away. Look, this wasn't just a standard plane crash where they eventually found the debris.
Right.
Or a disappearance where, a motive became clear later on. It implies there's a layer of strangeness, maybe even something inexplicable baked into the whole thing.
Absolutely. And the year 1978, that's important too. It grounds this mystery in a specific time.
Before the internet, before constant tracking.
Exactly. It tells us this isn't some modern digital mystery. It happened in a different technological era. And that might explain some aspects of why it's remained a mystery. Less sophisticated tracking, different communication records, maybe different ways of investigating back then.
Sure, that makes sense.
But the fact that it still holds that enigma label, even with all the time that's passed, even with advances in science and analysis, that's what really underlines how perplexing it is.
It means the questions haven't faded.
No, if anything, maybe they've just gotten deeper or more complex. The passage of time hasn't brought clarity.
And that right there is such a key piece of information for you, the listener. When you first encountered the disappearance of Frederick Valentich, 1978, framed purely as an enigma by our source. You're immediately tuned into a specific kind of historical puzzle. You're not being handed a neat summary or a closed case file. You're being invited into this narrative of deep, persistent uncertainty.
Yeah, it tells you that the defining characteristic here, at least based on the source's title, isn't what happened, but the very fact that we don't know what happened, and crucially, that this state of not knowing has persisted since 1978.
It really sets it apart from just, say, recounting a historical event.
It absolutely does. It positions the Valentich case not as a settled fact, but as an ongoing challenge to our understanding. It makes you ask, okay, what specific things must have happened or not happened for people decades later to still say, yep, this one's an enigma. It suggests a situation where maybe all the logical, mundane explanations were considered and ruled out, or perhaps the information they do have points towards something truly inexplicable.
Things like?
Well, often in these kinds of enigma cases, you hear about things like unusual radar readings, strange radio transmissions, maybe conflicting witness reports that just can't be squared, that sort of thing.
So the enigma label isn't just describing the outcome. It's hinting at the content of the mystery itself.
I think that's a great way to put it. It's like the defining feature presented by your source is the lack of resolution. The source itself, by using that title, excerpts from the Valentich Disappearance, a 1978 enigma, it's reinforcing that.
It's not promising answers.
No, it's almost like it's cataloging the mystery itself. It implies that even the original investigations hit a wall, and time hasn't magically provided the missing pieces. Or if new information has emerged, maybe it just made things even more confusing.
And that enduring lack of closure. That's often what makes these cases stick in our minds, isn't it?
It really is. It's deeply compelling.
So this deep dive, focusing just on how our source frames the disappearance of Frederick Valentich, 1978. It really underscores how powerful just a description, like calling something a 1978 enigma, can be. It tells you so much about its nature, its deep mystery, its persistence, and, the hold it has on our curiosity. We haven't actually gone into the flight details or the theories today.
No, the source excerpts didn't provide that context.
Exactly. But just from the framing, we understand this is a puzzle, one that's lasted, resisted answers, and fascinated people since way back in 1978.
Which does raise a broader question, doesn't it? How often do we come across historical events that are known more for the questions they leave behind than for the answers they provide?
That's a good point.
And what is it about that enigma status? What makes it so captivating for us? Is it just that we inherently want answers, we want to solve the puzzle? Or is it something else? Maybe the sheer allure of the genuinely unknown.
And tying it specifically to 1978 makes it feel like this preserved puzzle box from another time.
Yeah, like a time capsule of an unresolved question. It speaks to the idea that maybe some things, they just defy easy explanation, no matter how much time passes or how much technology advances. We seem drawn to these loose ends, these moments where reality feels a bit strange.
Absolutely. And maybe sometimes the most crucial piece of knowledge isn't a specific fact about an event, but understanding how it's remembered and presented. That some stories, like the disappearance of Frederick Valentich, 1978, are framed to remain these enduring, captivating enigmas.
A powerful reminder.
It really is. A reminder that not every narrative ties up neatly, and sometimes the ongoing mystery is the most compelling element. Thanks for joining us on this particular deep dive.